This is Sara Flack, the Education Coordinator at the Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes. Today, I'll be talking about home alone safety tips for kids and parents. A lot of times, the first question that I'm asked when talking about when a child can stay home alone is how old a child must be. An absolute age for the child to stay home alone is not something set in stone or concrete. There are no laws stating that at what age a child is ready to be home alone. When making the decision, you really need to assess your child's readiness and maturity level. Think about how your child would handle a situation if an emergency were to happen, how level-headed they would be, how well they follow directions and rules. When you make the decision to allow your child to stay home alone, you want to really talk about some rules and safety tips to follow. I'm going to outline 8 of them today. One of the first things you want to talk about with your child is to create and practice an emergency plan together. This would include what to do in case of specific emergencies, who the child should contact for help, where they should go, and if there's safe adults that they can reach in case you are unavailable. Number 2, set clear expectations, rules, and limits. For example, you may want to make clear if a child is coming home from school to a house with no adults present, that when they reach home, they are to call or text you to let you know that they are there. The expectation may be that the child does not stop at other places on their route home without permission and further planning. Some other expectations and rules may be around what shows they can watch, time limits for video games, chores and homework that needs to be completed before recreational activities, whether they're allowed to play outside, and whether or not they should answer a door or telephone. Number 3, discuss phone and internet usage policies. You may choose to decide that you do not want your child using an internet device while you are not home to monitor their activity. You may also decide that you want to set up their cell phones so that whenever they make a text or are online, you know what they are viewing. Other things to discuss will include knowing that they know how to use the phone in case of an emergency appropriately, that they have phone numbers programmed into a cell phone or a list of contact numbers posted somewhere where they will not be lost or forgotten, perhaps next to a house phone or on the fridge. Another key thing is to make sure that they are not using the internet in inappropriate ways or viewing content above their maturity level. Number 4, be sure to discuss kitchen safety and guidelines for snacks or meals if you'll be gone during those times. You may choose to even have pre-selected snacks or pre-made lunches or dinners available for your child so that drastically reduces the amount of prep that they need to do in order to feed themselves. If you are allowing your child to use household items, be sure to teach them how to use them and practice using them with them ahead of time. Rules may be different when a child is home alone than when you or another adult is there with them. For example, while sitting at the dinner table with the family, you may allow your child to cut their own steak with a steak knife. However, when your child is home alone, to reduce incidents of accidents, you may set out a guideline that they should not be using sharp knives. Same thing can be said about stoves, ovens, and microwaves or toasters. They may be able to use them under your supervision, but it may be best if they haven't had enough time to practice and aren't skilled that they avoid using those appliances until an adult is present. Number 5, share the importance of protecting privacy and security. This includes online privacy and security. So if a child is playing an online game or talking to a friend, it's in their best interest not to reveal that they are home alone without adult supervision, especially if they are playing an online game with people that are unknown to them. Privacy and security also includes rules and guidelines about whether a child should be allowed to play outside or ride their bike when they are home alone. In many situations, parents may create rules where if a child is home alone, they would like their child to remain inside with the doors locked at all times, unless there is an emergency where the child must exit the home. Number 6, consider scheduling periodic check-ins. As mentioned previously, if a child is coming home after school to a house that does not have an adult, it may be a good idea to remind them that they should be checking in when they get home. You may also want to check in on the hour or every couple of hours just to see how your child is doing and if they need anything. Remind your children that they should only answer phone numbers that they know. Use the caller ID to your advantage. Number 7, educate your child on the basics of first aid and/or babysitting. If a child will be left home alone and in charge of younger siblings, it's a good idea for them to take basic babysitting courses. You can also find basic first aid classes online through local agencies, or you can train your child themselves. Make sure that they know where the first aid kit is and what with each item is used for. You should also have a conversation about severity of injuries. If somebody experiences a minor cut or scrape, it may be okay for the child to do that basic first aid on their own. However, you want them to know when they should call either you or an emergency contact. 911 should always be a child's go-to in case of an extreme emergency. And number 8, prepare that emergency contact list. Make sure it has all of the important numbers and that your child knows how to dial them, who they're going to be talking to when they reach that number, what information they should provide, and what to do in case the first contact does not answer. Be sure to include on the contact list multiple numbers that you can be reached at as their parent or guardian. I also want to provide you with some additional resources. At theredcross.org, you can find online classes for both basic babysitting and as well first aid classes. kidshealth.org and healthychildren.org provide additional guidelines, rules, and safety concerns to address before your child is left at home. It's always a good idea to also check in with your child after they have been left home alone. Ask them how they felt, if there's anything that they want to address, or if something came up that maybe they didn't have an answer to. Remember, just because a child may seem old enough and mature enough, they may not be fully comfortable being home alone. If your child's not comfortable yet being home alone, try to come up with an alternative strategy that will make them feel more secure and ease them into being home alone. If you have any additional questions that I did not answer and you can't locate online, feel free to email me at the address below.